Right. Good morning, world. Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather, and this is our guest.
Hi, I'm Tari with American Cremation and Casket Alliance. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for coming, Tari. Together, we're working to connect women in leadership and business to build relationships and empower each other, improving the health and wellness of the community. Tari is with the American Cremation and Casket Alliance. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but we're going to start out our morning with a little bit of grounding and meditation. Today's meditation is from Meditations from the Mat by Rolf Gates and Katrina Kensington. And we are on day 5 today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with reading, but while we get settled, go ahead and relax the shoulders, take a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Relax. Listen to the sound of my voice. If you're driving, please keep your eyes on the road or pull over to a stop safely. Deep breaths together, and I will begin reading. When transgressions hinder, the weight of the imagination should be thrown to the other side. Yoga Sutras. In a reflection of the pragmatism that is at the core of all yoga teachings, Patanjali takes a moment before he begins to outline the necessary restraints of yoga, to tell us what to do if we get into trouble along the way. Whenever we find ourselves ensnared in negative behavior, he suggests we should increase the amount of time, thought, and energy we direct toward positive behavior. This simple, elegant notion is articulated by Marianne Williamson in her spiritual guidebook, A Return to Love. If you want to end darkness, she writes, you cannot beat it with a baseball bat. You have to turn on a light. We do not need to enter a showdown with our self-destructive behavior, nor can we deny its existence. We must simply come to know it and move on. We learn to focus wholeheartedly on positive behavior. Reading Deepak Chopra's The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, I came to understand that my own "what's in it for me" attitude, however subtle or well-disguised, was blocking me professionally. Chopra suggests that one of the simplest ways to access grace in any situation is to ask, how can I be helpful? Once I saw that my typical MO is to ask, what's in it for me? I did not enter into a protracted struggle to obliterate the question from my psyche. Instead, I simply embarked on the magnificent journey that begins with the question, how can I be helpful? As soon as I began to direct my energy and attention to a new question, the old one fell away. The Yoga Sutras suggest that we deliberately turn away from the choice for death and embrace the choice for life. Let's take a few moments, take a couple breaths, let that sink in, and then we will talk about it. I think there's some meat to these potatoes, right? So how can I be helpful instead of asking, what's in it for me? You ask, how can I be helpful? And that's actually kind of what brings us here today. It's kind of why we started this podcast to begin with, is we wanted to reach out to other women in the community, bring us all together, and find a way to work with and support one another. And it's not what's in it for me. It's like, how can I help the community, right? And that's exactly what we do. Ladies, anything you'd like to add to that? No? Okay. So that was
building
a lot of, yeah.
And in wanting our community of women to thrive in this business or in any business.
Mhm.
We're all facing similar challenges in our community, and as a community, we can come together and support each other and share our knowledges with each other. A lot of us, need that really badly. Need a community of women that are supportive and not bringing us down.
Right, right.
And we also, I think as women in the community too, it's okay for us, especially in our sister groups, if you will, to be able to ask for help. I think that's one of the hardest things. We can always be there for others to help and support, but it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for support. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's one of the harder things to do, but I think it is beautiful because once you let your guard down and ask for help, it's amazing how strong you are with your tribe.
Yes, yes. And that's exactly what we're doing here is we're building tribe, we're building community,
Mhm.
and just being able to really reach out and support each other in our sisterhood, right, is super, super important,
Mhm.
especially as women in business, because we wear so many hats as women in business, and we have all the things to take care of all the time, that it's really important for us to be able to ask for help and to be able to rely
Yeah.
on other people for that help. Super, super important. So
Or
I'm
if
going to
somebody
get going
offers
on
to
today's.
help, you accept it. Okay, go.
Okay, all right. Path of the Yoga Sutras by Nikolai Bachman. We're on chapter 5 today. Our Sanskrit word of the day is viveka, or keen discernment. Sometimes the questions are complicated and the answers are simple. Dr. Seuss. The ability to choose wisely and separate the wheat from the chaff is fundamental to the practice of yoga. Without this ability, our thoughts, words, and actions are limited to the whim of habitual tendency and the prison of involuntary conformity. Yoga involves a commitment to freeing our heart and mind of unnecessary and unhelpful baggage and focus instead on our path toward contentment and inner happiness. Viveka is knowing and consciously discerning one object from another. We are making decisions and judgments all the time, every day, which is such as what to eat, how to dress, where to go, and what to do. Exercising clear judgment, taking into account what is helpful versus harmful, and what works in the short term versus the long term can help us avoid your suffering. Access to as much information as possible gives us the broadest view and the highest chance of making the best decision. For example, you are interviewing people for your company. It is up to you to determine the most important characteristics you are looking for, beyond just qualifications on paper. Someone who may not have much experience but learns quickly and is thorough might fare better than one who has much experience, that they are set in their ways and cannot adapt easily. Sometimes the simple quality of getting along with others is more important than anything else. Viveka is all the more important if you are hiring someone for a long-term position. Viveka helps us make healthy choices in life, stepping back and quietly contemplating what we really want in life can initiate actions in that direction. What kind of career do we want? What kind of qualities are we looking for in a life partner? Which places would we like to live in or explore? Using keen discernment, we can carve for ourselves a path that is happier and more fulfilling. The choices we make now determine our future. In any action, it is important to know who or where we are now, our current state, where we want to go, a direction, and the steps necessary to get there. Observing ourselves closely through quiet contemplation and listening to others can give us a sense of who we are. How we react to touchy situations can provide valuable information about our deep behavioral patterns. Recognizing the existence of our discomfort or pain, dukkha, identifying its cause, and then working to consciously weaken that cause will eventually eliminate suffering. Keen discernment along the way is not only helpful, but also necessary for the process to be effective. Viveka can help us avoid being harmed due to lack of knowledge or experience. For example, a child may see a colorful mushroom as something that might taste good, unaware it is toxic, while a botanist or mycologist could discern the difference between an edible and a poisonous mushroom. That also means separating what is useful from what is not, like throwing away the inedible outer peel of an orange and keeping the inner juicy part. We can minimize contact with those who bring us down and influence us in a harmful way, while maximizing time spent in the company of people who support our chosen path. We may have teachers who are filled with wisdom, yet falter in other areas of life. We can listen to and integrate the wisdom while not allowing their failings to affect us. On a deeper internal level, Viveka can help us distinguish between our changing body and our unchanging inner light of awareness. Without Viveka, individuals identify the body as themselves. They think they are the body and nothing more. With Viveka, the body is seen as an instrument only, a formation of matter and energy that does not affect our true nature, our inner light of awareness. Keen discernment results from practicing the 8 limbs of yoga, which remove impurities from the body and clear the heart mind of undesirable baggage, allowing the inner light of awareness to shine through. Whenever our faculty of judgment listens to our clear inner voice, instead of our ego, we act selflessly. Viveka supports diligent practice and not clinging to external objects. As we learn to step back and quietly observe what is going on around us, we can figure out what action would be most beneficial to ourselves and others at the same time. As we observe our own personal practice, we can carefully discern what is working and what is not, and then make modifications to maximize our efforts. As we turn inward, more and more outer objects and events become useless to us, and we are able to let go of any attachment to them. Thoughts. Distinguishing what changes from the unchanging light within us is a way to end suffering. With a clear heart mind, I can develop the ability to determine what is helpful and what is not, and we will make wise and informed decisions for the benefit of all sentient beings. Take a couple breaths, let that sink in. Let's talk about this for a minute. The next time you have to make an important decision, collect as much information as possible, then sit quietly for some time. Try and view the angles before making your decision. Will peer pressure factor into your decision?
Ooh.
I know. Cool.
Whose opinion matters while you're making the decision? That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, yeah. And being able to sit in quiet with yourself and really think through the process of that decision, you know, what affects that decision? What are you allowing to affect that decision? You know, and what factors do you feel are important and what factors do you feel aren't important?
Mhm. And the peer pressure part,
Yeah,
that's important.
that's a huge
Mhm.
part, right? We all have a lot
Yes,
of peer pressure.
on
Who's
many aspects of your life. Yes, for sure.
Right.
For sure. We're marketed at all the time in so many ways. We're expected to look a certain way, be a certain size, wear certain types of clothes, you know, our home is supposed to look a certain way or whatever, right? we have all these expectations put on us, but really who's allowing us to take on those expectations, right? That's us,
That's all.
right? So that's some deep stuff right there. When you see someone who you need to interact with but don't like very much, try and separate their personality from the divine inner light of awareness residing within them. Take your time to meditate on the dynamics between you and see if there's a way to improve your interactions. Does anybody have any experience with that?
Can you say it again one more time?
When you see someone who you need to interact with but don't like very much, try and separate their personality from the divine inner light of awareness residing within them. Take time to meditate on the dynamic between you and see if there is a way to improve your interactions.
I think everybody probably has had that. If it be at a school event, if it be at work, or sometimes at home, you know, I try to find, even if a personality and my personality don't connect very well, I try to find one thing. I'm sure there's more than one, but at least one thing about the person that is positive and good. And that is what I focus on. And that's what I try to keep in my mind while talking and discussing. And no matter if I don't appreciate the person or their actions or personality, in a sense, they still have value, and what they have to say is important.
Because I think
everybody has value. Absolutely.
Everyone has a value and a right to be here, and everyone has circumstances, and they all have their own limiting thoughts and beliefs that they're battling in that moment, and it might not be coming out very well, you know, like especially in your line of work, when you're seeing people, they're not usually in a good spot, right? So that, you know, you probably have like the ultra skill in this whole category of being able to just be like, they're just having a bad day. This isn't about me as a person. And I think that,
and that goes for everybody. You know, that saying is, you never know what somebody's path is that day. They could have just left the funeral home and going to the grocery store, or driving and they've done something to make you mad, or whatever, if you know them or not. And that comes to the point to where you can choose to be offended or you cannot. You don't know what path they're on at that moment.
Right.
Right, for sure. And then the last thing is just to think of in your life where you could practice more of that and how you might practice it. And I think that speaks volumes. You know, everybody has an inner light of awareness within them, and how they present to the world might not be their true essence. A lot of times it's this like shell people wear over themselves to protect themselves. And so that inner light of awareness, it just might take some, you know, digging to get to, but everybody has one, you know, and every person has one. And it's really important to try to treat each person, you know, as that, you know, as you see that, because what they're going through is not a reflection of that deep inner awareness. It's a reflection of their what we call samskara in yoga. It's for lack of a better word, emotional scarring, right? We've all been through some tough stuff. So and we all have our own deep emotional scars. And this brings me back to Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements. Don't take anything personally. Anything others do is not because of you. You know, it's not your fault they're acting this way. It's a lot of times not their fault. It's just their shell, right? Them trying to protect themselves from you know, something that may have happened in the past, that emotional scarring, right? So, Terry, would you like to add anything?
Of what our discussion was just then,
Yeah.
I find myself, in my mind, like I said earlier, you can choose to be offended or not. It is your choice. And there's many times when you're down or you're tired or whatever, you can choose to be offended by things, saying somebody's actions, but those that have their light hid in the shell probably have the brightest light of all. And just to have compassion and understanding. You don't have to like somebody's actions, but you can still be human and be kind. And that's so important. And choose not to be affected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excellent. Heather? I saw you writing some notes.
Yeah, I was like, I think what can happen too as you're learning is you might not always respond the best to someone as you're learning what you no longer vibe with, is what I call it. So I feel like as I've been growing, like my vibration is going higher. So I will run into someone that like that I would feel comfortable with in the past. And now I'm no longer comfortable with their behavior, and I so don't vibe with it anymore that I physically have a reaction. And now I know to notice that, because otherwise I'll go into my fight mode, and then, you know, life happens because, you know, I could probably scrap with the best of them if I needed to. So I don't want to go to that place though, right? So to learn that, whoa, I don't want to be near someone that's going to make me feel that way. And it's not about them and what they're doing, it's about how it's making me feel. I'm not safe in this situation. And recognizing that and just removing myself from those situations. And it's okay to do that. Give yourself permission to do that.
It's okay to do that. Yeah.
Growth is
that comes right back to boundaries, right? We all have to set our own boundaries. And I saw a Facebook post yesterday about boundaries. Boundaries are the distance that Melinda posted it. Boundaries are the distance where I can love you. It was something like that. It said, boundaries are the distance where I can love you. And we set boundaries with our kids, with our significant others, with, you know, our family members and acquaintances. We set boundaries all the time. We just might notice that these are boundaries that we set. So, you know, that by setting a boundary, you're not seeing their inner light of awareness, but you are, as Heather said, you are respecting your own vibration and your own inner light of awareness. And, you know, you don't want somebody else's boundaries to shadow your light. For sure.
And that's our responsibility to ourselves.
Yes. Yes, it is our responsibility to ourselves to continue growing and taking care of ourselves and our own inner light of awareness, and balancing all those things that are important and seeing everybody for the inner light of awareness that they are, but also setting those boundaries for those shells, right? So with that being said, not only do I host this wonderful podcast, but I also teach yoga. And we are currently holding virtual classes at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. So you can find out more on our Facebook page at Warrior Yoga Stanwood. You can email me at warrioryogastanwood@gmail.com, or you can simply give me a call or text at 425-501-9271. I do have some private consult space available. if that's something you're interested in, just let me know. And I am going to pass the torch to Tari Dexter from American Cremation and Casket Alliance. So Tari, I would like you to start with your story, your why. Tell us about what you do, where your heart is, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So my name is Tari Dexter, and I own American Cremation and Casket Alliance. It is a family-owned, and I think what's important too, it's ran by family members as well. How does it fill my heart? Oh my goodness. I love being able to be in somebody's life when they are going through their most difficult time. Being able to walk by the side of family members to guide them and not take advantage, especially financially in any way, but then the honor of the last act of service, the last act of service for a loved one who has passed with honor and respect, no matter the path that they chose in their life, no matter if they have family or not, if they're educated or not, if they have a home or not. Every single person is somebody's person, and the honor to be able to give them that is wonderful. It can be very heavy on my heart many times, but it's also a blessing to have strangers trust you with their most vulnerable loved ones is a scary thing for them. And I love being able to connect with them and give them comfort with that. We have owned American Cremation and Casket Alliance for a little over 3 years now. The funeral home is about 15 years old. And I grew up at a cemetery in Medford, and my family has assisted loved ones with afterlife care for well over 80 years. And my uncles, my aunts, my grandparents and parents. And so after I graduated, I decided I was going to be a teacher. So I did some other things. And then a few years ago, I started working here, answering the phones nights and weekends. So I was a teacher during the day, and I would answer the phones nights and weekends to be able to have a little bit of extra money to help some family members that were sick. It kind of rekindled in my heart, started that fire again to be able to assist our families. And it just meant a lot to me. I'm going to get emotional. When my dad was passing away, we just happened to get a call from the owners of American Cremation and Casket Alliance, and they were moving and wanting to sell. And I knew that that's what I needed to do. And my dad and my mom are just incredible, and to be able to learn from them how to be kind, compassionate, professional, supportive, and honor loved ones, I felt I had the opportunity to carry that on, and I am so grateful for it. It can be very heavy, like I said, but in turn, being able to be a part and help is incredible. It's just incredible, and I take that very seriously. And I feel I honor my parents by being who they taught me to be, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So we facilitate cremations here. Our office is in Stanwood. We were in Arlington, and then we worked really hard to find a location that we could have crematorium right on site. And that means that when we go to a home or to the hospital or to the medical examiner, when we bring a loved one into our care, they stay in our care. So a lot of times, other funeral homes, which are wonderful, there is a service center, a care center that loved ones go to. So a bunch of funeral homes in the area will use the same one. And then cremation is facilitated there, or prep or anything needed for a burial as well. We really felt it's important to be able to have our office and then our crematory facilitated to where we could give the comfort to our families knowing that their loved ones stay with us under our watchful eye. Mind you, that doesn't mean that if a funeral home doesn't have one, that they're not the best. That's just something in our hearts that we felt was very important.
I liked on that note too, when I was
Absolutely.
working with you, that also means security in knowing what you put in with your loved one to be processed. I'm trying to find the right words to be.
So that's okay.
With them. Like, so if you put something in there, it's going to be in there with them. Like that's that trust that you provide, and you're so caring. Like immediately when I met you, like I had talked to you on the phone because we've been kind of in the same business world, like, you know, for the last few years, and I've always mostly just talked to you on the phone. And when I met you in person, you have that very calm energy around you. Like you know, I can.
Thank you.
Okay, I was just like, okay, I'm a little nervous, but Jerry's here, we're good. You know, I was like,
Well, thank you. I think with being family owned as well, my daughter-in-law, we just call her my daughter, she works here. Amy our funeral director, has been part of our family for over 3 years. Bill, as well as Shirley, even our accountant, she has been with American Cremation and Casket Alliance, before I started, which was about almost 6 years ago. And so she has been here. My son helped as well. And because of that, we're able to offer some more personalized support. Like you had mentioned, anything that a loved one would like to place with their family member in our care, we can do that. We have had loved ones that brought cards or pictures, and we place it with them, usually right over their heart. It can be the Seahawks fuzzy slippers. It can be their favorite candy bar. We just placed Jolly Ranchers with a loved one. Rainier beer is really, really popular as well.
wow.
I love it. But to be able to honor the loved one in whichever way, like with my dad, when he passed, it was his gum. It was his gum that he chewed all the time. And so we were thankful we were able to put his favorite gum with him because he always had a dry mouth. So we feel those things are important to be able to have the families give them that, as well as taking fingerprints. A lot of people like hair clippings, pictures of tattoos, just different things. Everybody has a different idea, a way of honoring their loved one. And so we're able to do most of those.
Yeah, the grieving process is super, super important and personal to each family, and everybody processes that very differently. So the fact that you have all these different ways to help support the families through that is just super, super amazing. One thing that I do want to talk about.
No, go ahead.
One thing I do want to talk about, it being October. October is Child and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And 1 in 4 women have lost a child, myself included. And the process of going through that, for me it was awful. It was awful. And there's ways that you go about things that just are amazing when a family loses a child, especially. My family has, not only did I lose a child, but a year after I lost my child, my sister lost her baby due to SIDS. So my sister and I have this like deep connection, and one of the local, started down in Puyallup, actually, charities that we support annually now, 14 years later, after we've lost our babies, is the Tears Foundation, which, Terry, I know you are aware of, but and you know, that just, it's so important that people realize that 1 in 4 women have lost a child. 1 in 4. And so look at your group of friends, look at your acquaintances, walk around the grocery store. 1 in 4 of those women that you see have lost a child, sometimes more than one, right? And I was active duty when I lost my child, and I was still pregnant when I lost him. He had a condition called anencephaly. It's where the brain and skull don't form completely. And I was 22 weeks along when we lost him. And the process going through the military, let me tell you, was awful, 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 awful. And not only was going through the process, you know, they didn't have counseling available. They didn't have any kind of programs available for women in active duty who lost their child. What they expected you to do was, okay, you lost your baby, now you're going to go back to the ship in six weeks. That's not enough time to heal. I actually had,
pull yourself together.
Pull yourself together, keep going, soldier on, right? And that's not what I needed then. And I know that there's other women out there that's not what they need either. And not just active duty, but women in general. You know, they're expected to just move on, and that's not reality. The reality is that, you know, the grieving process is different for everyone. The pain and sadness never really goes away. It just changes over time. And so you, Terry, being able to care for someone who's going through that is, and everything you do to help support them is just phenomenal. So I'm so glad you're doing what you do. And for all the other women out there listening today, it's okay to ask for what you need when you're grieving. It's okay to ask for things that you need when you're grieving. I went back to my doctor. I got on antidepressants. She wrote a letter to my command basically saying, no, she's not going back to the ship in 6 weeks. How about 6 months? So I was able to put it off for a little while. But I mean, even then, you know, here I am, you know, 14 and a half years later, and it still hits me like a ton of bricks sometimes. That's okay.
Yes,
So,
it is.
Thank you, Terry, so much for caring for families the way you do. Really means a lot.
It is very important to us. Even a pregnancy and having a miscarriage, even at 8 weeks, it doesn't matter the time, that is your baby. And it's very important for us to be able to support. I as well lost a little one. It was 32 years ago. I didn't have any options. I didn't know there was any options.
Right.
And I'm sure back there they were very limited.
Right.
And I found out later, what happens to your little one? And it was almost, first thing, it was my first pregnancy. So it was almost like she never existed. She was just gone. And it was traumatic and still is. Even though I have many sons
That's how
later.
I felt too.
And so when we bought American Cremation and Casket Alliance, it was very important to us to be able to help those families, moms and dads, and kids if needed. We go to the hospital, we go to Children's Hospital, to the Women's Pavilion, any of the home births, if miscarriages or stillborn, we will go and bring the loved one into our care. We do not charge. We give options to the families, burial or cremation. We even have a gentleman on Camino Island that will build a casket at no cost. He as well lost a son. And so there's a bunch of us that have come together. We have a wonderful lady who makes crochets small little booties. We have another wonderful lady who makes beanies. And then one of my dear friends, she makes little quilts. So when the little one is ready to come home, their urn is in a quilt, or maybe with the quilt and booties, especially for an early, it doesn't matter what kind of miscarriage, to be able to have something to hold, be able to have something tangible saying that that little one is part of your family is very, very important to us. The Tears Foundation, they are wonderful. They just helped a family of ours with a little one that was a little bit older. We choose to only use them every once in a while, but we choose to do it at no cost so that more families can use the Tears Foundation so that they can help so many. They're incredible.
They're amazing. Sarah Slack, the leader of the Tears Foundation, she's just phenomenal. And she started the Tears Foundation because lack of resources. She didn't have the financial means when she lost her baby to pay for a headstone. And that really bothered her so deep down that she couldn't afford a headstone. And how many other parents out there could not afford headstones for their children? And that's the whole reason why she started the Tears Foundation, was to help bereaved parents be able to properly bury their loved ones, their children. So it's, and that's exactly where your heart is too. And I just love that. And I want to, at some point in time, get together and a resource back for active duty military women who have lost their children, and work with the base on making sure that they have resources, because a lot of people don't know those resources. And it's super important. It's super important. You know, there needs to be some kind of something, you know, for them, because like me, I didn't have those resources. And then, you know, your command always tells you, oh, get back to work, you know, whatever. you know, and it's just, that's just not reality. That's just not reality.
Right.
So, Terry, thank you so much for talking with us today. I love your heart and everything about what you do. It's very intimate, it's very personal, and it is hard stuff. It is hard stuff. And the fact that you have chosen to care for people going through the hardest time of their lives, I truly appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
I know.
anyway,
Little
tissues, guys, tissues.
to talk a little bit about something good that you're doing in the community that's coming up, and it's, you know, the spooky time of year. So I did see that you are one of the downtown sponsors here in Stanwood for trick or treating. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
The Schools Night Out is the downtown Stanwood kind of a trick-or-treating. It gives businesses the opportunity to be able to bring joy, be able to, of course, have candy, make a connection with the kiddos. And, you know, we've all been so disconnected for so long. And it's times like this to be able to see the kids' faces and the parents excited to bring them out is important. So the businesses that choose to, those of us that chose to sponsor, we know that it's just a really important opportunity, and it helps, you know, the police department have their things out, you know, and everything. Even if donations weren't made, any business along the streets can. It's important to be able to have the candy out or have options for candies as well, and to have nut-free candies. But it's just another opportunity to be in the community, be connected, show support, and just have a good time. There are two different times for trick-or-treating. I feel so bad. I left my file at home, but if you go to Stanwood Chamber, the flyer's on there as well. There's a time earlier in the day for more compromised children, so that there's not as many kids out as possible, or possibly compromised parents or grandparents. And then later in the day, there's also a second time for trick-or-treating.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
cool. I love our community. That is
One more thing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trick-or-treating this year. I even got a costume. So excited. Okay.
He likes your
So,
color.
if anybody were wanting to contact you at American Cremation and Casket Alliance, how would they do that?
They can go on our website, americancremation.com. They can reach out to us by our phone number, 360-651-9233. Our phones are answered 24 hours a day by us. So myself, Caitlin, Amy, we take turns having the phones. So after business hours, evenings, weekends, of course, if there's a passing, somebody can get a hold of us right away. Or if somebody has a question or about pricing, or a question about their loved one or anything, when somebody calls, they're able to get us from the office, not an answering service that will call you back as soon as they get hold of us. So we felt that that's very important. So you can reach us anytime.
That's super incredible.
And we do, yes, it's very important. I think it's calming as well, knowing that you can have that immediate contact. And if by chance it goes to voicemail, because they get transferred over to our cell phones, usually because we're on the other line, but we get right back.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then we do have
That
a
is-
Facebook page, and we're going to be, oh, sorry. We do have a Facebook page. We're
Oh.
going to be better about updating that. So, excuse me.
Okay, and that is that Facebook page at ACCA?
It's American Cremation and Casket Alliance, yes. So the
Okay.
previous owners named it that, which is okay, but a lot of times they go by ACCA. It's just easier to say.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Whew. Thank you so much, Tari, for all that wonderful information. I love your personal touches with working with families that make it just that much more important. I can't even tell you how much I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that because of all the different things
Thank
I've been through. But anyway, we're going to move on, and Heather is going to tell us about what she's got going on with bio and what the October company is up to.
Oh, right. So we're over
Great.
into the middle section of the world. So let's see. It's hocus pocus time, because it's that time of the year with little pumpkins everywhere. So here's a little flyer I got floating around. It's put a spell on your health this October. Oh, I thought I was spell checking here again. I don't claim that I'm a good speller. That's never been the thing.
No,
I
neither am
like to be creative, but the letters just jumble together in my brain, so sometimes I can't even see it.
Yeah, she
So
types everything up and then I go through and format and spell check. That's usually how it works.
This weekend we have a 20% off sale, and we are also raising money for the breast cancer research fund. So because October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's also National Life Insurance Awareness Month. There's lots of things in October, lots of hats, all the places. That's why the pumpkin needs to have a witch hat on, right? We've got lots of hats to put on. So this week in bio, we recently came out with apple cider vinegar gummies, and they are a probiotic and a prebiotic gummy. And if you are watching live, I'm kind of showing them on the screen right now, so you can see they actually smell so good.
They look like little raspberries, and they're pretty good, actually. I tried one.
And they're vegan, keto, gluten-free, non-GMO, all about balancing your brain gut relationship so that you can actually think clearer, because we're finding that so much of our brain fog can come from having an unbalanced gut biome. So that's what these are designed for. And all the ingredients are protected to get to the right place in your digestive system, so they get to where your body needs them, which I think is super amazing. And everything is delivered in a way for your body to use it, so it's ready for your body to use. So it's just a different way about it. So this is our number one top selling product. Our second is Limitless, and this is a capsule. It can be dissolved into water because all of our products are water soluble. That is what we have done. We've taken vitamins and put them into water so your body knows what to do with them, so you don't have any waste or extra byproducts. There's no extra ingredients. Everything's very clean and natural sourced. Limitless is a great energy source. It's great for boosting a workout. I love it for mood enhancement. This is definitely my go-to in the morning because I personally fight my brain and mood and my ability to use the tools that I have to get my brain out of that dark place every morning, because that's my dark time of the day. So if I make sure that I take my Limitless, like literally the first thing I do in the morning, I go potty and I take a Limitless, and then I can access my tools. Okay, I need to take some deep breaths. I need to hit the yoga mat. What do I need to do for me? That helps me get those tools so that I'm not stuck in that dark hole. Finally, I was really excited because our last ingredient, our last of the top 3 this week was Vital IQ with collagen. And a couple weeks ago, one of my friends was like, looking at me and she's like, where are your wrinkles? Like, why don't you have more wrinkles? What's going on? And I was like, you know what? I have been doubling up on the Vital IQ with collagen. It has 5 types of absorbable collagen. So if you know anything about collagen, it is super duper duper hard to absorb in your system. And so by delivering it this way, we can absorb it. And the other thing I noticed is my hair is like out of control growing. Like I really need a haircut really bad. Like, so my nails are really strong. The collagen is affecting my skin, and I'm not even using the skin collagen products. So like, I'm just like really surprised like that was a side effect of why I was taking the extra vitamins. So that was pretty cool. So that's one of the major things we have going on in bio. And then on the 30th at 10 a.m., we have a virtual conference. It is called Bio Reigns Reset. And we are really, really excited to bring it. And I just remembered this week that I'm getting a product box. And I'm really excited. So I'm looking forward to that coming in conjunction with this Bio Reset event. So that's coming. I would like to transition into the Octoberland. So how Charlie and I met is we work with the October company, and we are putting out a October announcements that it's also Life Insurance Awareness Month. And we are booking reviews and evaluations of life insurance. So either for, you know, what you have, is this enough? Is this where you're at? Is it time to upbid it? You know, are you getting a good value? Do you have what you think you have? We would love to answer all those questions for people. And so we have a nice newsletter out. And contacting us all over the place. You can get a hold of me for both bio or the October company. My phone number is 360-722-9104. And you can text me or call me. You can find us online. You know, all of our contacts are all over here. So if you can't find us, just message us here, okay? I would like to round out all of this today with bringing back in some mindset pieces, and it being going into what I our dark part of the year. And a lot of people are struggling this time of year. I personally, in my circle, have had a lot of loss this last couple weeks. We have Tari on here, we're talking about loss. So I wanted to give a couple of tools to help people, not just, you know, us as resources, but things they could do for themselves. So I went back and I have this book. It's really awesome. It's called 52 Small Changes for Your Mind. And so 52 is 1 a week. So I thought, hey, we'll just start back at the beginning and see where we get. So the first chapter is talking about journaling. And I have so many notes on this page. One of my favorite things I learned about journaling was that Leonardo da Vinci filled over 5,000 pages of journals. So that was long before journaling became something that you did for your brain health or therapy. That didn't come into play until the 1960s. And then in the 1980s, they started doing it at in schools where they would have you do more journaling and writing in schools. So it's something that's really old that people have used for many, 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 many years to help our brains. So the act of journaling dates back as far to the Roman Empire. I was like, what? The Roman Empire? So some people need writing prompts. Some people it's brand new to them. So basically the only requirement is you have to write it. So you can journal on your phone, you can journal like Google Doc or Google Keep, or you can download a My Diary thing, anything that gets you writing. Even if it is typing, you're still getting it out of your brain. The other thing to do is just grab paper and start putting pen to paper, and just whatever comes to mind. There's no wrong way to write or journal. I think we get sometimes caught in our own heads and our own fears. Oh, I'm going to do this wrong. There's no wrong way. You don't have to share it with anyone. There's some really cool journals out there that you can, there's like mess this journal up one where you like put dirt on a page, or, pull this page out and burn it after you use it. There's all sorts of things out there. So just starting to do that process for yourself will help your brain. It's really good for you. That's what I had to say. So let's circle back. Did we hit all the things?
I think we got all the things. Okay, one more thing we have coming up is we are going to start doing cause of the quarter. So from now through the end of the year, we are donating to the Stanwood Food Bank. We will have all the information if you are wanting to donate to the Stanwood Food Bank. We are going to make a post on our page for that with all the information on how to do that. So please feel free to donate to the Stanwood Food Bank, either in person or through our page once we get all that information posted. And then I would like to just take a moment and see if there's anything else we would like to touch on or talk about today. Or I think we got everything. So we are, I think we're good. So today's sponsors, thank you, Warrior Yoga, Heather Ross, Wellness Ambassador, the October Company, and today's guest with American Cremation and Casket Alliance. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to follow us on social media at Women in Leadership, BSMB, and listen to us on Spotify and pretty much anywhere podcasts can be found. We're on Amazon Alexa, and we had a really exciting time playing our podcast on Alexa the other day. We're pretty excited about that. And we are growing very quickly. If you're interested in being part of our podcast, please shoot us an email at womeninleadershipbsmb@gmail.com. Again, thank you all for joining us today on the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. We'll see you next time. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Bye, you guys.